Good morning, and welcome to your brand new St. Matthew's Eline Library. I started with the sure applause line first. So I'm Lee BURCHFIELD. I'm the director of the Louisville Free Public Library System. And it's my honor to be here today to introduce the important people who will be speaking later on. First, I have to acknowledge the presence here with us today of a few people whose support to the library system or to this project have made all of this possible. I want to first start with Mayor Fischer, whose support for libraries has been evident from the first time I ever heard him speak in public. Mayor Rick Tonini and the St. Matthews City Council, whose vision for greatness is on display here. The Friends of the St. Matthews Library are here. Their president, Gary Lohr, is standing up here in the front. Earlier, I saw Pam Greenwell, who is the president of the Council of Friends. Pam is over here. The Friends are some of our most vocal advocates and ardent supporters, and we really love how much they love the library. The Library Foundation is also here. I saw Chandra Gordon. I haven't seen Steve Galt. He's the chair of the Library Foundation currently. But Steve is just a tour de force when it comes to advocating for the library and helping find funding for special projects. Doug Foster, the library's design and construction manager, has been our liaison with the St. Matthews staff on site here. He has worked tirelessly to make this project a success. He's hiding in the back over there, so I won't point to him since he doesn't want to be seen. I also cannot let this moment pass without acknowledging the work that the staff of the St. Matthews Library has done over the last 8 months. They've been troopers, they've been sojourners, we've been sending them all over the county to fill in for staff vacancies. They've had great attitudes, they've shown great spirit, but they have never been seen more excited than when they came back and saw this branch and started getting it ready to open for you all. So that's enough time for me to take. It's now my pleasure to introduce the Waggener High School Choir to sing our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose bright stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you. That was a great job. So now I get to introduce someone to you that you all already know. Mayor Rick Tonini, I've gotten to know over the last 6 or 8 months, and every opportunity to be with him is enjoyable. He has such a great spirit and a great personality. Mayor Tonini.
Thank you very much. Thanks everybody for being here with the weather, the threatening. All week long it said thunderstorms and rain, and God's smiling on us. So thanks everybody for coming. If you would raise your hand or stand up when I call your name. Bernie Bowling, Kathy Clark, Tim Holland, Tony Whiter, Stuart Monahan, Frank Flynn, Mary Jo Ney, Amy Olson, Martha Shade's family, Pat Wissing, and Sean McKiernan. These are all members of the council who were in office at the time we started this through today. So they're really deserving of a big hand of applause because they are the people who appropriated the money to have this done. So thank you very much. Yesterday I snuck into the library and looked up the word forever. And to my surprise, the definition said how long it takes to build a library. And the neighbors around here can attest to that. We're almost done. We got a few little areas of planting and sod and a few little punch list items, but it's getting there. So I want to apologize to our neighbors for putting up with our dust and noise for the past 19 months. St. Matthew's Eline was started in the mid-50s when the Eline family wanted to memorialize one of their sons that was killed during the war. They donated the land and some of the construction costs. The city of St. Matthew's and the St. Matthew's Women's Club built a small brick building. Just lost my place. When all else fails, go untech. So anyway, so we built a small brick building over off Browns Lane, and it was a library for nearly 40 years or so. In 1992, we moved that library here to the Great House property. The city of St. Matthews acquired this property from the Savings and Loan. This is the Great House School property. The library has grown leaps and bounds since we moved the library to this property. The city of St. Matthews provides the building space, all the utilities, and the maintenance for the library here since the day it was opened in the mid-50s. Under the direction of head librarian Susan Irving, this library has grown to be the busiest branch of the entire library system. Metro government funds the Louisville Free Public Library system. The library pays for all the employees, the librarians, the books, that's an important part of it, and especially the librarians. They do a great job. And everything inside the building. Our relationship with the Louisville Free Public Library has been a great partnership ever since we started. In the early 2015, Craig Buteau, sitting right here, called me and said we'd like to have a conversation with the city about the library. I didn't know what it was for, so he came in and he said, we have some money and we'd like to freshen up the library. And it was the library, when we moved it over here, was hugely expanded from the space where it was over on Browns Lane. But now the library space was too small. We had to improve the library space, and that was the number one issue. Craig was surprised when the conversation transitioned from new paint to a new building. We hired the architect, Studio Kramer, on January 13, 2016. We hired a construction manager, Sullivan Cozart, on, I was going to use the laptop, but pardon me, 16th of 2017, and construction started on November 2017. We closed the library on September the 2nd, 2018, and since that day we've had thousands of people, probably some of you all, come here and want to find out where the library door is. Well, we had to tell them it's not open yet. The library was closed for 251 days. The new building has some wonderful new features. There's an area for teens, which we hope will be greatly accepted. There's a children's area with a Read to Me room. The Read to Me room is the number one accepted, or the number one most used, thing that we do in the library. It's a space where moms and dads bring their kids and read to the kids. It was so important that we moved the Read to Me program over to the community center while this library was closed. We also have a fenced children's garden where parents and children alike can come and learn and enjoy the outside at the same time. This 19,000 square foot library will house more than 70,000 books and items to check out. The new building will have 2 community rooms. They're right up in this corner, and they can be used by the public after being reserved with the library. Sorry about that. Anyway, when we started this program, we had a librarian named Dustin Strong. Dustin was the head librarian at the St. Matthew's Eline Library. He was so kind, so excited, and so proud of the plans to rebuild this library. Unfortunately, he was killed during the early planning stages. This was a great loss to the library and a great loss to the people that he served. We planted a tree in the front yard and to memorialize him, and his mother, Michelle, make sure that that tree is watered and cared for. We also plan to memorialize him by naming the children's outdoor garden in his name. A plaque will be placed on the garden at a later date. The children's area of this library and the library previous had been memorialized for a young man named Robbie Means. The 7-year-old died in 1990 in a tragic accident. His mother and father created a memorial in the old library, and that memorial will be continued in this new space. I have so many people to thank. First, I'd like to thank Mayor Greg Fischer and the Metro Council. We asked them to contribute $1 million for this project, and without pause, they agreed to help with the project. Bill Hollander and Angela Leet both are part of this area is part of their district, and they were very enthusiastic and created a positive attitude with Metro Council towards passage of that $1 million. The St. Matthew's Women's Club and the St. Matthew's Elementary partnered. They collected bottle caps. And they collected so many bottle caps that they were able to get 3 benches in the children's garden. So that's great. The Friends of the Library are also working on an artistic piece for the grounds, but have not yet decided what form it's going to take. The architect on this project was Studio Kramer, and they did a great job. Stephen Ward is the principal. Anna Finneran was huge during the planning stages of this building and still is today. Richie Hart was constantly on the site during directing and making sure that the contractors did the right thing. Ivy Clinton from Carmen did a great job with the exterior planning. Sullivan Cozart was the construction managers. Ryan Down was the manager, the project manager. He kept the subs and the parts needed on site. Talking about construction taking forever, Ryan, he was the construction manager. He and his wife had 2 children during the process. Brian Ashby, I'm sure he's hiding around here somewhere. He was the superintendent, on-site superintendent. He orchestrated every move and part that went into this building. He actually seemed to be everywhere at the same time. Jeremy Best is truly Ryan's best man. See what I did there? Best man. Matt Frazier was the library architect and part of this project from the very first meeting until he retired halfway through the plan. He is now back as a consultant and making sure that every detail is correct. Doug Foster, he's the library's jack of all trades, and been a very important member of this build team. Personally, I'd like to thank Keenan Stratman. Keenan is the work superintendent for the city and assistant city engineer. Keenan was my eyes and ears during this project, attending all the meetings and making decisions in my absence. He truly did an outstanding job, and I want to thank him for all he's done. I received a note just 2 days ago from Mr. Keith Runyon, Sr. He was a writer and an editor for the Courier-Journal. He attended first grade in this building. His mother was actually on the committee who planned the red brick building that was the first Eline Library. Great House School has had roots in this area since 1877. The current building opened in 1939 for a cost of $88,000. We got more than $88,000 in concrete on sidewalks. Even though he now lives in 1400 Willow, he considers the Eline Library as his library. I've heard the same comment from a lot of people all over Metro Louisville over the past couple months. We've come here today to cut the long-awaited ribbon on this library. We also remodeled the entire campus, which includes City Hall. If anyone would like to take a tour of City Hall after reviewing the library, please find one of the St. Matthews employees and we'll be happy to walk you through a tour of that also. I thank you all for coming today, and I hope you enjoy this library for a long time to come. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Mayor Greg Fischer.
Thank you, Lee. Well, how do y'all like your new library here? Well, it looks fantastic inside as well, so we'll try to get through this before the rain comes upon us. But Mayor TONINI, to you and your council, thank you guys so much. When we had the offer to participate in this library, we jumped right on it because this is the busiest library in our system, which is hard for a lot of people to believe, but just so many books and e-books come through here that we said we've got to always invest in our #1 city value, and that is lifelong learning. So I want to thank our council as well for approving this expenditure, $1 million from Metro. I don't know how many millions of dollars that St. Matthews put into this, but folks, this is what it looks like when a government has money to spend, okay? So thanks for tax dollars to help this happen. We need tax dollars to make good things happen in our city. Well, one of my main goals when I was elected mayor back in the day was to make sure that our regional library system was built out. So we were still in the Great Recession, but the only capital expenditure that was made in our first 4 years was to build the Southwest Regional Library on Dixie Highway, and boy, is it beautiful. And then the South Central Library came along in Okolona, and boy, is it beautiful. And then next month, sometime next month, we'll be opening the Northeast Regional Library, and it's fantastic as well. So this jewel of the St. Matthews Eline Library is part of that collection, and something I think that we can be so proud of here in our city, to say that we value libraries and we value lifelong learning. And we've got to keep investing in this. This is a really kind of bittersweet time for our library system. It's no secret that our city budget is under assault by the increased pension payments that are obligated by Frankfurt, and then the lack of desire of our Metro Council to increase revenue to make sure that we continue investing in our city. So I would encourage you, when you see a Metro Council person, that if you believe in our library systems and the other services that come from the city, to let them know that you expect basic services and that you're okay with investing to make that happen. So unfortunately, the type of cuts that you've seen so far will only be 1/2 to 1/3 of what will be coming if we don't have new revenue sources. So while we're here to celebrate today, and we should be, it would be mayoral malpractice of me if I didn't get up here and exhort you guys to encourage more investment through responsible spending here in our city, and especially with our library system. We make wonderful things happen in our city because of partners. And the partnership with Mayor TONINI and the council here in St. Matthews is a perfect example of this. And you're going to be loving this library. The partnership with the colleagues that we have in our library system and our library staff are incredible. You all know that. Many of you all are regulars here at St. Matthew's, and I see the smiles on your face when you welcome your team back here. I just want to say thank you to Lee BURCHFIELD, the director of our library system, and the wonderful staff that we have throughout the Louisville Free Public Library, and specifically the folks here today from St. Matthew's that I know you guys are happy to open this library as well. So really appreciate what y'all are doing. Greg Buteau, I want to thank you for the many years you spent as library director. You've got to feel good to see all these new libraries popping up in our community. So thank you all so much for coming out. I want to recognize Councilwoman Paula McCraney. I believe I saw her. She's right here. So she's Metro Council District 7. So she's kind of got some interest in this as well. And then Councilman Bill Hollander. And Bill, in speaking with Mayor Tonini, was the one to kind of first get this offer of, hey, we want to really blow this thing out. The mayor and his team said, we want to make this bigger than more than a new paint going into this. And so quickly we determined this is a wonderful way to leverage the money that we have and allow more people to enjoy our library systems, which are so, so important to us. So, Bill Hollander, I want to thank you. Please welcome Bill Hollander to say a few words. Thank you, Councilman.
Thank you, mayors. What a great day, and what a great example of two governments working together, which is what everyone wants to see in our community. I want to thank Mayor Tonini and the St. Matthews City Council. There are some good days and some more challenging days in public service, but when I see this library, I will always remember one of the really good days. Councilwoman Leet and I were at a luncheon, and Mayor Tonini said, could you come over to City Hall after the luncheon? We'd like to talk to you a little bit. And he talked about the proposal to refresh the library and said, we're really thinking about something bigger. But we'd need a contribution from Louisville Metro of $1 million to match, actually to come not even close to matching the much larger contribution by the city of St. Matthews. So I probably shouldn't say this close to the St. Matthews Police Department, but I think I broke the speed limit driving to City Hall that day and calling everyone that I could think of saying, this is really a no-brainer. And of course, we didn't have to do much to convince Mayor Fischer of that. I also want to thank all of the library employees. We're going through some very tough times with our budget now, and library workers are significantly affected, which I very much regret. But the public support for our libraries and for buildings like this is because of your work and the work of your predecessors, and so please continue it. We value libraries in this community and will continue to do it as you work hard in the future. And finally, I want to thank the Friends of the Library. I've seen a lot of them in the last few months, and I hope you will continue to advocate for more and better library services, not just here in St. Matthews, but throughout Louisville. Thank you very much.
Okay, that concludes all of our speakers, except, of course, for me, and I have a captive audience. I just want to tell you one quick story. When I first got here this morning, there was a mother and a toddler up here, and I was walking toward the entrance, and the toddler was sort of running toward the entrance saying, books, books, books. And the mother would say, they're not open yet. You can't have, where are you? You're here somewhere. You're here somewhere. I'm inviting you, if you want, to come up and help us cut the ribbon so that your child can be one of the first people to get in. So we've all waited long enough, especially that child. They're pointing over here now. Come on, there you go. Let's get that child some books, okay? I want to invite Mayor Tonini and Mayor Fischer. Come up here. We have a box of scissors. We're going to go stand right back here, and we're going to cut this ribbon so you all can go and check out all the books, and we'll have to buy more. Thank you all for coming.
1, 2, 3.